A letter from Abioye Retmelavi, the Igwilf Chair of Lower Planar Studies at the Grey College, to Arkady Ankershot, Explorer Extraordinaire. Salutations, Arkady. Several years ago, you asked that I alert you of any strange goings-on I might observe on the 88th layer of the abyss in the course of my scrying and other research. At the time, I confess that the request itself seemed ridiculous. Gaping Maw is as rife with novel and appalling strangeness as any other layer of that besotted realm, more so perhaps due to its unusually varied cartography and diversity of presiding powers. But just today, a matter of an hour or so ago as I write this, I witnessed something odd enough that it made me wonder if this might be the sort of case you had in mind. A tsunami has struck Lemuriax, Demogorgon's capital. By itself, that's not all too strange. The hateful tapestry of the 88th sees all manner of disasters with a regular irregularity. What was so unusual was this. Having reviewed the event now from every perspective I can imagine, and conducted interviews with a few of my key local informants, I believe I can say with confidence that the sea quake that spawned this tidal wave did not originate with Demogorgon. Both of his two heads seemed equally enraged and confused by the event, with their respective sectors of the city each faring quite poorly. I was tempted, of course, to assume the culprit must be Dagon, who controls the deep undersea layer just beneath the 88th, but my sources all concur. Dagon, whose great pride is his terrible and secret knowledge, has no answer for who caused this. No being should be able to meddle in the material of an entire abyssal layer like this, other than that layer's master. Any god who survived the Dawn War, or came after it, would have to sign their work with certain mystic counter-seals, according to the terms of the Pact of Truthful Account. If this was done by a deity, it was none whose name I know. The final wrinkle is that as near as I can figure, the massive tremor in the sea floor began from a point deep in the ocean, which is occluded to every means of remote sensing I possess. Whether this far-flung patch of mystery was always there, I cannot say. No comprehensive survey of Gaping Maw has ever been attempted. A curious case, no? Trusting that you are satisfied in my fulfillment of our long-ago bargain, I will expect you to hold up your end. My bar tab at the Western Wind is enclosed. Cordially, Abioye Retmelavi.
In the city of Greyhawk, 5 individuals are united by circumstance. A brewer priest, a haunted swordsman, a living relic, a caustic criminal, and a golem without a past. With the drawing of a single card, their lives have been turned upside down. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Misplaced. It takes place in the venerable setting of Greyhawk, kind of, and we're playing with a modified version of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play Golden Hydrakashi, a Dragonborn rogue. Joining me today are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I'm playing Balmo, a halfling cleric.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Sir Simeon, the human sword mage.
I'm Josh Halbachner, and I play Ashlar, a warforged sorcerer.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Latchkey, a shardmind with the dual classes of Battlemind and Scion.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asprooth Jackson, the Dungeon Master.
Now, let's get started.
Okay, So you got the suits, you got the helmets, you get them together, you get sort of clicked in place. All the seals are made. You got the one suit with the white, I think that's the Zag Yi, I think. Maybe it's the Zag Ya. I don't remember offhand. But the point is, you got the one suit with the white energy being and the one suit with the black energy being. You got them both sealed, and everything's under control. And that was a narrow escape. And then all the lights turn red, and there's a noise, and the voice of the princess says, "The integrity of the princess has been compromised."
Oh, dear.
And then there's like a couple of seconds beat, and then the lights turn red again, and it says, "The integrity of the princess has been compromised."
Princess, where has the integrity been compromised?
In the rail station.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Latchkey books it down there.
Yeah.
Drawing their sword.
I follow also. Actually, no, not drawing anything yet. Just following.
Balmo's going to follow too.
Okay, so the party is racing down the stairs towards the rail station. Is that what's happening?
Where did we put the blowy up things?
In 2 different rooms on the way there.
Well, you're going from... You're in the room with the stairs to the railway station, so
Oh.
that nothing is on the way there.
On the opposite sides of the room.
Okay.
I am. Watch these.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
Well.
I am. Watch them and make sure they don't touch.
Okay, 1 second while I get this map ready.
Oh, God.
And so we're down in the rail station chamber. Remember, this is the place that has like it's down at the base of the stairs. There are a bunch of broken statues. There's a big red line on the floor, and there's like a cavernous opening into some kind of a tunnel.
Have I been in this room yet?
No.
Okay.
But the people who have will notice that where before the tunnel was basically black because there was no light over there and you couldn't really see what was in it, now there's a big crack or a bunch of light coming down at a place in that tunnel, suggesting that there's some kind of a big crack in the ceiling of it now. And out of the tunnel have come a whole mess of goblinoids, including that bar guest and the 3 Sul. I is for Irnahim, that's the sorceress. O is for Orn, that's the kind of red-haired barbarian
Like a fighter
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, fighter or something. And R is for Rhyhar, that's the guy with the jet black hair and the goggles and the sort of monkish robes. This is the closest that probably anyone actually in the party has gotten, but definitely the closest that you have gotten, Latchkey. And looking over at him, you notice the strange scar on his forehead. And now we're going to have a little flashback.
Ooh.
In this flashback, this is not a flashback belonging to any member of the party. This is a flashback 2 years ago on the Tilvanat Peninsula, the homeland of the Scarlet Brotherhood. There was a revolt. Not a revolt. There was a coup within the leadership class.
A
kerfuffle, Donnybrook, if you will. And the current grandfather of the Scarlet Brotherhood, the sort of oligarchical leader, was overthrown by Torm Delvo and his particular political contingent, and he replaced the various grandmasters on the council and wiped out all of his adversaries, including the Master of the East Wind and the Master of Autumn, who happened to be a married couple, but in a great show of magnanimity, he did not have their infant child executed. He allowed it to enter the Creech system and be brought up in the ways of the Scarlet Brotherhood, made a big show of it, and how considerate he was, and this was going to be a new era in the Scarlet Brotherhood. It wouldn't be quite so bloody, and there would be a new opportunity for rule by a sort of political consensus. So after that happened, after he spared the life of the infant child, years passed by. Torm Delvo has been the leader of the Scarlet Brotherhood for well more than a decade now, and he goes to visit one of the chief schools of the Scarlet Brotherhood, where the young elite are being trained to be the next generation of warriors and sorcerers and monk scholars. And while he is on this tour, there's another coup. The old faction has launched its revenge against his soldiers get thrown out of the main compound. His bodyguards turn against him. And just as he is about to make his escape into the swamp, try and run off and live to fight another day, a young child raises a dagger behind him and stabs him in the back. You can see on its face, it's the same face as that infant that he spared years and years ago. He looks up into it, and it smiles a cruel and hateful smile. And then we just resolve into the same face, now a young man, standing there in the cavernous hallway with a set of goggles set up on his head, that strange scar on his forehead. This is Raihar Tretpo, the boy who killed.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
So here are some things. Raihar is spelled R-Y-H-A-R.
Mm-hmm.
Tretpo is spelled T-R-E-T-P-O.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you the spellings for Ir Nahim and Orn.
God.
I think I'm okay without them.
Yeah.
But besides the out-of-game, literary reference, in your case, specifically, Latchkey, you look at that scar. That scar on the forehead is in Draconic. It's two letters in Draconic. Welg and Sev. Welg is essentially W and Sev is essentially S. And this matches the spell that Warren Starcoat once described to you as a way to get revenge on his enemies if anyone should happen to kill him.
Oh.
The permanent mark that would be left on him if he was murdered.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Ah, well. Now, okay, just can you repeat real quick the appearances of the other two?
Sure. The sorceress is blonde. She has a long braided hair and white and red robes, as they all do in some various combination. And Orn, the sort of barbarian guy, has this huge amount of red hair that's been molded with some combination of wax or animal fat into these irregular cone-like spikes coming off of his head in all directions, and a substantial amount of a big mustache and beard as well. And he has a giant spear lance thing. And other than that, there's just a whole slew of goblinoids. So that is the scene.
Looks like that, the bar guest is also there.
Yeah, no, so the other goblinoids, there's one bugbear and two hobgoblins that clearly have really good armor in a way that delineates themselves from the rest of the pack. A whole bunch of hobgoblins and several goblins that are more sort of conventionally armed, like grunts. And then the bar guest who was noted earlier, who's basically this goblinoid werewolf, but also in armor and heavily armed.
So much for a surprise attack. I mean, from our side.
Good thing all of our prep is upstairs.
So I figure, let's see, maybe get specific about some positioning here. I figure actually you can see all of that from about here, from the landing at the top of the stairs. Remember, it's this is a double staircase that makes basically an X, right? The two wings come down from the top, and then there's a platform in the middle, and then two more sets go down off of that towards the base. So you're at the crux of the X here and can see all of this from there. There's obviously some recognition, and then some quick shouts in Sul. I believe still no one in the party speaks Sul. But Latchkey, you're there, so you will understand. It's basically just, there they are, get them.
Right.
What would you like to do?
Should we roll initiative?
We should probably roll some initiative.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and roll initiative?
Got 9.
22.
17.
23.
17 for our Simeon.
Okay.
This did not go how we wanted it to.
Nope. But I'm just trying to establish your impulse was not immediately to run. You are, at least for the time being, standing your ground.
My personal impulse is to run, but I don't think Sir Simeon's is yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, Rakashi's impulse is to run. However, her understanding of the geography of this place, despite the fact that she probably could figure out how to leave, is not immediately to think, like, she feels like her back is against a wall right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not running at the moment.
Gotcha. Everyone in the party, what is your... Well, okay, does anyone in the party have a reflex defense of 23 or better?
Oh, boo.
No.
I could probably pull a 22 depending on the situation, but not a 23.
Okay. So, assuming you don't have a 23 or better reflex save, Raihar basically, like, he's running towards the stairs, like he's moving fast, like he's going to come get you. But on his way there, he basically throws a punch towards where you were all standing together. And a ball of fire flies out of his fist and explodes on the platform where you're standing. That is 21 damage to everybody.
Okay. That might change the fight or flight response.
Okay, is it made against me?
It's an attack on... Oh, right, so you have to...
I have a second chance.
He has a second chance. Yeah, you have. So... And what is your... Did we figure out what your reflex defense is?
18.
Yeah. So everybody except Balmo.
Sweet.
Damage. Thank you for the reminder.
Balmo just ducks under the gout of fire.
Orn, who is running up this way, kind of jumps in the air, and that terrible rat creature thing that we mentioned before materializes underneath him. It is scabrous and just gross, with not just multiple heads, but kind of like they bleed into each other, so it's hard to say how many heads or faces it has. It's just a lot of eyes and teeth. At the front of the thing has 3 different tails. Yeah, but no overt violent action because he doesn't have ranged attacks. And on 23, Kacey, it is you and the sorceress. So give me your action while I figure out hers.
Oh,
Yep.
Sorry. Just real quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Damage resist just means I reduce the amount.
Yep, right, because you have resistance to fire, so
Yes.
you benefit from that. What's your action, Lashkey?
So Latchkey already has their sword drawn, and they've taken note of this scar, and they know what it means, although they haven't said anything about what it means. And this guy's, obviously trouble. So they say to their sword, "Reason, can you murder that one?" And they kind of gesture with the sword towards Raihar.
The sword did ask.
I would be happy to help you do that. Let's get closer.
Excellent. So Latchkey is going to, lift their foot as if stepping forward, but they vanish in sort of a flurry of light and pebbles to reform directly in front of Raihar.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got goggles on his head,
Yep.
but he hasn't put them down yet or anything. And okay. They're basically just going to slash at, they're going to aim for the arm if it's still extended through the fireball. So basically the goal would be to remove some or all of it, ideally.
Go ahead and make that roll.
Okay.
That's, let's see. So you talk to the sword.
Right.
And you describe the attack. I'll make that a level 2 stunt.
Okay. And, I need to pull up the stunt table, sorry, to see what my options are. I am going to try to immobilize him as well.
Okay.
Sweet. Then I am going to go with Twisted Eye.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so as they sort of strike, the sword almost seems to twist a little, like, someone took the edge of it and turned and kind of created it slightly more like a spiral than a straight blade. Oh my God. And it was a 1.
Jesus.
No.
Oh, okay. So this is going to hurt.
Yeah, so the natural 1 on an attack roll means...
With a haunted sword.
Mm.
The attacks, you swing the blade down, it looks like it's going to connect, and then he just flows around it like he's made out of water.
Mm.
It ripples right through him, it goes down into the floor, and it's momentarily stuck in the flame. It digs down deep into the floor, and now you've got a problem where your sword blade is jammed into the floor.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Irnahim raises an implement towards the platform again, where most of the rest of you are. And as she does, Vin, you have just enough time to recognize the object and read the pretty legible text from this distance that says 7 parts on it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's how they got it into 7 parts.
And okay, anybody have a 22 or better will defense?
That's a no.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Yeah, not including Latchkey because she's not in the area of effect.
No.
Nope.
Okay,
But if this is an attack on me, they got to roll twice.
that's a good point. Thank you for the reminder. Not get out of this one, Brayden.
Oh.
There is something like a great maw full of stars opens up in front of you, and you have the impression of it coming down and biting each of your heads. And when that vision fades, you are still alive, so it wasn't as bad as you were worried it would be. But you're each going to take 20 psychic damage.
20?
You said
How many?
20?
20.
20 holy crap damage.
Okay. Sure.
That's extremely bad.
Yeah. Is it my turn now?
It is your turn, Vin.
Great. Everybody up the stairs. And
Yeah, at this point.
we're not too far. We're halfway down the stairs, right?
Yeah.
They're not huge. So if I have enough movement and action stuff to do this, I am going to dash up the stairs, grab the nearest jellyfish-filled suit, and hurl it down the stairs.
Okay. I'm going to say that because we specifically put the suits kind of in like the far corners of the room on our way here, it will take you 2 actions if you want. Like you can get to the suit, but not go throw it back down the stairs with the amount of time you have.
Thanks a lot,
In this turn.
Natasha.
Oh dear. Okay. How fast were the things swirling and moving towards each other before?
Fast. Pretty fast. I mean, they were floating around and they weren't going in a just straight line, but they were getting very close to touching by the time you and Sarsimian got a hold of them.
Okay. In that case, I'm trying to figure out if there's a way for me to communicate this plan before we start doing it. I guess I'm just going to grab the suit and be ready to move.
Okay. You've got the suit. Next up, we have Josh, Jeff, and the Barghest. So Josh and Jeff, what do you got for me in terms of actions?
Oh, shit. Okay, first, remind me how Second Wind works.
Second Wind, you spend, I believe it's a full action, and you get to spend a healing surge. Maybe it's slightly, and I think you also become fully defensive when you do that, if I remember correctly. I'll have to pull it up because now it's...
Well, that doesn't sound like that's going to be a good idea.
I guess as a minor action on my turn, I'm going to activate my aspect of harmony stance and gain regeneration of 3.
Okay.
I am torn between following Rakashi and leaving our dear friend Latchkey out on the front lines by themselves.
I don't remember how these stairs are structured. Is there a door or a gateway or something at some point of these? Or
Nope. They are completely open. Yep, just wide open. Okay, so just for information, Second Wind is a standard action. You spend a healing surge and you regain the hit points from that. You get a +2 bonus to all defenses, and you can only use it basically once per encounter. It's like you can't pull it out more than once a scene, basically.
I mean, are there any of us who won't die if we're hit again with anything?
I will not die, but I will be very close to it.
I've only been hit once, so I might not.
I will probably die.
I can also do Wenta's refreshment to get you to renew your second wind when we get a second
wind.
I'm gonna go ahead and sorry about that. I'm gonna teleport right here.
Just a second, let me look at the map. Right where? Okay, so Simeon right there.
So Simeon has just a minor flashback at this point. He is going through basic training back with the Baklunish, kind of learning how to be a guard. He's just gotten into boot camp, basically. And they are in a line, lined up in their squads. And there is somebody being yelled at and berated in front of him for having left one of his comrades behind. And Sir Simeon feels sort of embarrassed for that person because he felt like he would have done the same thing in that position. But watching him get dressed down in front of everybody else and sort of realizing how important it is that you don't leave people behind, that sort of informs this decision on his part.
Just a second. So in this flashback, we're seeing Sir Simeon watch an old compatriot get dressed down for leaving somebody behind, right?
Yes. And
so we watch the shouting. We watch Sir Simeon watch the shouting. And then the camera pulls back again to somewhere, like they're in like some... What was the context for this? Was it at the palace or was it somewhere out in the...
It was some training session that they did out in the desert.
Okay. So out in the desert... The camera pulls back again to like a shadow of a dune crest where there's some like it's further away from the action outside of the circle of soldiers. Watching Sir Simeon from that shadow is a creature made of moss and vegetable matter with the face of a dragon which smiles. That's the end of the flashback.
Whoa. Oh, okay.
So now give me your action.
So I'm going to mark Orn.
Mark Orn, okay.
Then I am going to activate my sword burst. So it's basically a flourish of the sword of Larendanjo, and he stabs it into the ground, and a bunch of force energy explodes out from him. All right, let me roll to attack, I guess. So it'll be a 33 to hit.
Okay.
And that'll be attacking Reflex in a close burst.
Okay, 33 to hit, reflex against... Oh, so close burst. So it's both Raihar and Orn are in the area.
Yes.
Great.
Nice.
It's a level 2 stunt.
Level 2 stunt. I am going to... Crap. Where'd my stunt table go? Can I knock both of them prone?
You can have that as one of the statuses, yep.
Nah, I'm going to slow both of them.
Okay.
Yes. And then I'm done.
And the damage is?
The damage is 19.
Okay, the attack is successful against both of them. They're visibly struck by it, visibly injured by it, visibly slowed by it. And Raihar, his eyes are completely black, but still there's some kind of a special gleam in them, even as he's struck. And he says, loudly enough that clearly both Orn and Irnahim should be able to hear, Larendanjo.
Oh.
Ash, did you decide on your action?
So all this stuff washes over Ash, and he got hit with the fire. And it's been a long time since fire has felt like anything other than nothing to him. Mm-hmm. So that's an unpleasant experience. And the flashback we get here is actually just kind of flashes with just kind of horrible industrial noises, and they're just quick flashes of metal being poured, wood being snapped, hammers striking, all these different kind of sounds that on the one hand are like the things that you would hear when you're making or manufacturing something, but then again are the sounds that you would hear if you're like taking something like a relic folk and tearing it apart and destroying it. And Ash's mind, like the pain of this like half-formed memory that he can't fully place and the pain that he's in right now kind of like joined together. And at the end, he stares right at it. The fire came from
Reinhard, from the monk with the goggles and the headscarf.
So stares right at him, and the flame aura bursts around me, and then it bursts around into like a second extra level, and it goes from kind of being like reddish to like orangish yellow white. So it's like just burning extra hot because he's very angry.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to just fling out one hand and let loose the firebolt.
Cool. That flashback was intended to be to his construction?
The idea was that there's some memory that he distantly has of his construction, some memory he distantly has of being hurt really badly after constructed, and then kind of merged together because he doesn't remember any of that stuff.
So among those flashes, somewhere in there from the back, so you can't, well, from a 3/4 view, so you can't see the face, there is the shape of a somewhat pudgy man, like with kind of a gut, in one of those Chimera Project jumpsuits, putting the pieces together. Okay, so but you're making an attack, so go ahead and make the attack.
Yes. So let's see, that's okay, so 22.
22.
Versus 22 versus Will.
22 versus Will on Reinhard?
Yep.
Okay. That's a hit. It's a level 2 stunt.
Okay, so that's 10, 14, 16. That's 18. I wasn't moving. So, okay, so 20 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, does somebody have the stun sheet handy? I'm trying to remember what I can get for that.
Ongoing damage. There are a couple different statuses. What does the original effect do?
So actually, if it's an even roll, which it is because I got 22, I get to bounce it off and hit a secondary target.
Okay.
So I'll do that right now. 16 versus Will on Orn here, I guess.
That's not going to hit.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I'll just roll it all into damage. I think that's probably the best call here.
Okay.
Unless somebody can think of something really obvious otherwise to do.
So what's the base damage on that?
1d10.
1d10. Okay. So then each damage level would be 10. So yeah, okay. So that's 40. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was really mad.
You were really mad. He's visibly shook, right? Like he's singed. His hair's on fire. He's in bad shape. That's a bad hit for him to take.
And temporary hit points, when I'm like this beat up, there isn't really any real difference between those and healing, right? Like
it's not in a meaningful way, no.
Okay.
The main thing about temporary hit points is that you can have more of them than you have real hit points normally.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't carry them over from scene to scene if you have too many.
So if you're beat up, it just
doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Okay. So anybody who's next to me has +2 to all defenses as long as they're next to me this turn.
So Bach.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dog. And now it's the Barghest turn. So the Barghest again is this armored up goblin werewolf with a giant cleaver-like metal sword. Races over to where Latchkey is and makes a giant overhead swing down onto them. Kacey, what's Latchkey's armor class?
21 or 22, but I'm not sure when the 22 comes into effect. It might be when they have a staff.
Yes, that would be it.
Okay, so 21.
Yeah, it is unfortunately beaten. So that is worth 15 damage and knocked prone.
15?
Yep.
So now I'm at more than half my hit points. Or I'm down more than half.
Is anyone not bloodied at this point?
I am not bloodied.
Oh, right, I'm bloodied. That's actually good for me. What do you know?
There you go. Okay. Now, the hobgoblin advances this far, and he's out of movement. This one can advance this far, and then he's out of movement. And where is the third? Oh, here. Okay. And a short on movement there. And that's it for that turn. So there's a lot of movement. Like the goblinoids are closing, but most of them were far enough back they couldn't make melee attacks on their turns. And now it's Braden's turn.
Okay. First off, Slancha. That's a healing word to Latchkey. So you spend a healing surge plus a total of 15 additional hit points.
Nice.
Plus you get +2 to your defense for the encounter and a free basic attack on the nearest enemy.
Hey, cool. What's the healing surge roll? Just a 1d20?
No, you've got a value.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quarter of your hit points is your healing surge value.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully is written down somewhere on your...
Oh, yep. There it is. Okay.
And then you get bonus points on top of that.
Because of Braden's help.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's a minor. Then Balmo points at Raihar and says, "Sick." And Bach bounds down off the platform to the spot right between Latchkey and Sir Simeon, so that he is adjacent to both of them, and does a protecting strike on Raihar. So it's 8. Okay. 22 versus will.
That hits.
So that'll be 12 damage. And each ally adjacent to Bach gains temporary hit points equal to my Constitution modifier, which is 2. 2 hit points. So I've still got 1 minor left. Did anybody use their second wind yet?
No.
Not me.
Oh, you just used it because I made you use it. So I'll go ahead and renew that with, what's it called? Wenta's Refreshment. He tips his mug in the direction of Latchkey again and says, "Here's hoping you live forever, and mine is the last voice you hear."
Oh.
So you can have a second wind again for you to use or me to tell you to use.
Nice.
And I think that's it.
Okay. There's a lot more shuffling of the back row goblinoids. They're closing in, and a couple of them are in positions to make attacks now. So that'll be 2 attacks on the Sarkisian, one of which is a total whiff, and one of which is a critical hit.
Damn it.
So that's not great for you.
Nope.
So one of the goblins stabs you with a sword for 9 damage. And that's everybody else who's in range. That's been a series of moves. Okay, we've come to the end of the turn order. So we're ready to get to the next turn. And as a reminder, this whole, every couple of seconds, the lights go red, the siren blares, and the princess reminds you that the structural integrity of the princess has been compromised. That keeps happening, right? This is a constant backdrop. And at that point, there is some kind of a breaking, cracking noise from over here by the tunnel where this crowd seems to have come in from. There's much more... so initially there's a bunch more light that comes down through the hole just south of where the princess is. It's over here, and this tapping is not working for some reason, but you see what I mean on the map?
Yep.
Okay, so first there's a bunch more light, and then all the light goes away, and then out of the darkness comes just a whole mess of drow soldiers. And one enormous, very evil-looking spider with cleavers for feet.
Whoa.
The drow love their spiders.
Yep. And they are going to move forward into the fray. And that, I'm afraid, is where I'm going to have to cap it for now, because I have to go.
Same, so that's a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Also, whoever knew that the drow would be the cavalry coming to our very brief rescue.
Well, our cavalry options are very limited, so... That's it this week for the Chimera. Our theme music is Hoof, Heart, and Hiss by Matt Weber. You can find a link to more of Matt's work and any other music used in this episode in the show notes. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/chimerapod, or by leaving us a rating on your favorite podcast app, or just by telling a friend. We'll be back with a new episode in 2 weeks, but if you want to see what we're up to in the meantime, you can find us online at thechimera.space, or on Twitter or Facebook at ChimeraPod. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Just so we're clear, someone in the Slack expressed uncertainty about what these names mean.
Yes.
Right. So if you read like the original Authority, or any of the Planetary comics,
Yes, many times.
Warren Ellis has this thing where he likes to take famous superheroes and make evil funhouse mirror versions of them and throw them against his heroes, his villains. And I thought, what could I do that would be like that in a fantasy setting? And so my answer was Harry Potter. So
This is
every
at least-
character.
Okay.
This is at least the
That's how I'm
second
spelling
campaign.
Elohim.
I
This is
see
at least
now.
the second campaign where you've put us up against Harry Potter, Kelly. I want to just put that on the record.
I mean, in my defense, the first guy wasn't that Harry Potter-ish. It was mostly meant as like a complex literary allusion. But sure,
Yes.
that's fair. I'll take that. That's
That,
fine.
that guy was just called Harry
I've
Potter.
only ever heard that as referred to as Harry Potter.
Okay. So yeah, so every single character from the Scarlet Brotherhood side, including Yib-Dob, is just an anagrammed version.
Oh, Dobby.
Oh.
It is just an anagrammed version of a Harry Potter character.
That's right.
Oh.
Sounds
Wait,
so
okay,
familiar.
so who are the hobgoblins? Because they all had
names. Yeah, it's like they're all like Sirius Black is. I think Sirius Black is the Barghest.
Oh
if
my
I remember
God.
correctly.
Checks out.
Mad Eye Moody is one of the bodyguards.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're all anagrammed Harry Potter characters.
God.
Well,
Okay,
this
that
campaign
makes
is
so much
over.
more sense why you were like in the beginning you're like giving me all these names. I'm like, these are all fucking weird names. I'm never gonna remember a single one of these. Why does he keep telling me all these weird names?
Okay, so this is the second time that all of the NPCs in this campaign have been like incredibly narrow and in obvious illusions. So like, let's just keep our eyes open for
This is our
that.
semi-annual
From now on.
episode.
Well, the
Harry
trick
Potter
is that it's
characters.
either that or it's something canon that sounds just as ridiculous.
Right.
Exactly. So
That's
you
why
never
Greyhawk is a
know.
perfect setting to do that in, because already all the NPCs are named in that fashion.
Right?
All right, let's all
All
stop
right.
our recordings, do our exporting.
Okay.
Good game, everybody.
All right. Good game, everybody.
Good game, everybody.